Welcome. It's episode 34 of Whole Lot of Wolves Season 6. I'm Danny Paletti, and I'm delighted to be joined once again by, can we go man, myth, legend for producer Alex Matakis. How the hell are you doing?
I'm doing well. It's really nice to see you, and I hear you every week, but speak to you, I guess, is the way to put it.
Yeah, it's fun that we get to send these little messages in a bottle to you in the form of podcasts that we form in the middle of your night, and then you just listen to them in the morning.
Yeah, but all good. Things are good. A good probably time to be a Wolves fan and going through a life transition where you can kind of like black out like what's actually happening on a week-to-week basis as needed.
Yeah, for folks not in the know, Alex is now living and working in the Netherlands. See any European soccer?
I went to Ajax once. Bought a ticket day of because they were playing a rather unexciting opponent in Volendam, and they won. Which I don't know if it's like my Wolvesness rubbing off, but Ajax has had what is considered for them one of the more disappointing seasons in a really long time. So I was really excited to move to a city where it's like an expectation that they win the league every year and try to go and just, be a somewhat neutral and soak in that environment. But actually their shit, they've gone through two managers. Johan Cruyff's son, Jordi Cruyff, has now taken over, and people hate him because
I missed that somehow.
It's like, he's taken over as the director of football, but he's trying to make like Ajax really Spanish because he came from Barcelona from when his father played there. And they're like, well, Barcelona's Ajax. We're not Barcelona. And it's like, even they're a mess. And I'm like, dude, like what's going on? I just want to be able to casually enjoy some football without this like disappointment. And even doing that, they usually don't play at the same time as Wolves. Like even trying to watch them, it's like they're losing to these shit teams and everyone's just fed up with it. So I think I just need a break. Or a World Cup where I can't be disappointed because the expectations are low for the US and Greece didn't qualify. So I can't be hurt so much really in the summer at least.
Yeah, I haven't discussed this. I don't think even in our group chat. But there's a possibility I might be getting a Canadian passport in the future. They relax some citizenship laws and you can get dual citizenship. So it'd be great if I could make that happen before the World Cup and double my chances.
I was gonna say that's like a bit rigging the system there. You're gonna double your chances. Yeah, that's good. I mean, yeah, then your chances of making the elimination rounds with 3 teams and a lot of groups qualifying have got to be like astronomical, I would say.
Yeah. I realize I'm also wearing my Italy shirt from, I guess that was from the Euros or something. Maybe I don't recall, if I was thinking anything when I put this on this morning, but maybe just, wanted to wear the shirt of a slightly more functional football team.
As soon as I saw when I logged on and you had that, I almost went, well, not that they're functional, but I almost went and threw my Greece shirt on. It could just be like a sad Southern European not going to the World Cup corner, but instead it's a little bit of a mix. But it feels good to put on a Wolf shirt and pop on here. So
yeah, so let's talk about another shit team. To quote a great radio program of my youth, it's happened again. You've wasted another perfectly good 90 minutes watching Wolves. Wolves lost by a 0-0 to Spurs this Saturday, obviously. Pretty much kind of the same old shit, really. Rob Edwards made several changes. Some were perhaps pretty expected, especially now that relegation was confirmed, of course, on Monday when we recorded last. Doc came back in. He was interestingly captain, despite the fact Toti was on the field. That's happened more than once. Toti is technically club captain. Also, Lima, Rodrigo, and Mane come in. Rob playing the kids, maybe ones who have a chance at starting next season, and Saw returns from injury. And Krejci seemingly still injured from a bit of whiplash last time out. Not sure. What did you make of any of those changes? Were you at least excited to see some new faces in the lineup?
Yeah, I think I was. I mean, I think playing the kids is something that is an easy way to drum up a little bit of excitement. Although I think the excitement coming into this match was almost seemingly less about Wolves than it was about like seeing how realistic the chances of Tottenham going down are, which maybe we will talk about this, but very realistic, very realistic indeed. Yeah, I think I was happy. I still like to see Rodrigo Gomez play. I get excited about that. Pedro Lima to me is someone I feel like we've barely seen, and I don't know if that's it. He just hasn't been in an environment where we really can see him. Like it's been so high stakes for Wolves in a way, and not in a competitive way, but in a way that every match matters and you kind of have to win just to survive. So now that it's completely out of the window, I'm excited to see him as well. More so just to think like where can they possibly fit in. I don't really know exactly where Rodrigo Gomez fits in the long term, if he will be here, but I am happy to have the opportunity to try to find that out. So yeah, I was happy. And I mean, Mane being back, I think is some might adds a lot of, I mean, whether he's here or not, like he's probably the most exciting thing about this season. So at least let's squeeze a few more ounces out of that.
Yeah, whether it's on the field or off the field, late night reports, then making up over Instagram.
Yeah, that's such a weird one to me. Disappointing and shocking, I think, all of that, but at the same time not, because it's Wolves. So
yeah. What do you make of that? I still find the whole episode slightly strange, especially with like the way that it was sort of like leaked. So like obviously Nathan Judah and Liam Keane, who are no longer, working together officially, both putting that news out basically at the same time. And then a few hours later, sort of buddy posts on Instagram between him and Tolu. And it all felt very strange, especially when it's sort of like the leak is paired with the news of like, oh, and Tolu is probably going to move on this summer.
Yeah. I think maybe that's the timing of it, I guess, felt a little bit convenient from that standpoint of the news that he would move on. It's a good way to, I think, have everyone be okay with losing a striker that we otherwise probably think would be serviceable in the championship, though I don't even know if we have enough evidence to 100% say that. The actual incident itself, to me, is confusing and a reflection of just the lack of leadership. Because, like, even if Mateus Mane is like a total shithead, right? Like, at his age, if he were in any like club dressing room where there's like a semblance of like healthy culture or leadership, or I don't see that would happen. Like, I feel like there would be more people trying to guide him. Away from that. So if he's the problem, like that sucks. And maybe it's better that he moves on because we don't have the environment where he can thrive. And like, ultimately, like, I want to see him develop. I would love to see that happen here next year, but yeah, it was a weird one to me. Yeah.
I mean, to me, it just like, it highlights something that not just us and everyone said all season, is that we really lack leaders. I think there are players who are reasonably well liked in the dressing room, and players that I think the fan base generally likes, kind of like personally, if not as players. Like, I don't think anybody says that like Tody's a bad person. They might not want him on the pitch, but like, he's a good guy seemingly. But like, we don't really have any sort of powerful leaders within the dressing room that can sort of like pull everyone together and tell them like, this is the way we're going and this is what we're doing, and everybody like get on board.
Yeah, 100%. And like, in an instance like that, let's say that Tolu is totally in the wrong. Like, who's having that conversation with him? Like, and if you're him, like, who are you listening to? Literally, like, I don't know. That's a tough one to me, because it's kind of like, yeah, I just can't picture that. Even if those same characters are, I can't picture that happening with like Ruben Neves in the locker room, right? Or João Moutinho or something like that. I just don't see it happening that way. And I also think, like, to some degree, I would argue that even with a really shit squad, a certain type of manager, maybe that is something that is a little bit less likely. I'm not blaming Rob Edwards for this necessarily, but Wolves feel rudderless, and I think that applies like from top down essentially, and that includes Rob Edwards to me. But
yeah, Yeah, well said. And I think like it's possible that a player like Adam Armstrong, could be a bit of a leader there, but it's tough when you come in halfway through a season in a team that's virtually relegated to begin with, and you know that a bunch of these players are going to be gone. Why spend any sort of political capital trying to assert yourself when most of these players are going to leave anyway?
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's talk about the game such as it was. So of course I mentioned the changes. So we had Doherty, Bueno, and Toti at the back. Pedro Lima and Hugo Bueno were playing sort of wing back. Andre and João Gomez in midfield, of course, and Mane and Rodrigo Gomez supporting Adam Armstrong up front. Largely a repeat of the Leeds performance, I would say, except against a much worse opponent. So not a lot going on for us in general. Wolves still largely incapable of getting the ball and keeping it in threatening areas. What do you make of the current game plan, if you can call it that, of seemingly just playing long to three forwards who are all 5'8" or shorter?
Yeah, it's so hard to have any idea like what Wolves are trying to do. So what I make of it is just like complete confusion, and I find myself like in two minds. Like one, making excuses for Rob Edwards, being like, well, like when you look at the squad, like what would you do? And I don't have that answer. I don't know like what what a cohesive, coherent game plan would look like under a different manager. But at the same time, like I mean, it can't be that. It can't be, yeah, like you said, like a lot of like relatively undersized players um trying to win balls over the top, and they're not proven to be able to have that ability, and they don't have like the pace to necessarily do that either. It's yeah, it's weird. I don't know. I just think to me it's just like I'll put out the guys who deserve to play, and it's almost like regardless of like where they actually make sense together. um so yeah, I don't know. I'm at a loss.
No. I think both this game and the Leeds game for me felt like almost weirdly like a preseason game.
Yeah,
Or except against a team that maybe got started like a couple of weeks before you, um, where they just kind of, at least were able to put the ball into the box, in some way. And they're just like, I don't know. It's like, to your point, how much of this is like, can Rob Edwards even see what we're seeing? Like, why is he playing it long? I just like, I've refused to believe that Rob Edwards like is that thick. Like, it's just like, it's kind of like a trope within, football fan culture where it's like, there's this obvious thing and why can't he see it? And it's like, I can promise you he probably does. And that suggests that there isn't an easy solution. Now that doesn't necessarily means that he like, needs to keep his job, but it's just like, uh, you know, uh, the fact that we can't play it through the middle, seemingly we can't get like patterns of play to get people in dangerous places. And, I hate to say it, but, Huang has come on in a couple of games and looked fairly useful. And it's not necessarily because he is miles better than any of these players. It's more that like, he is the type of player who can do some of the things that we lack right now. Like the fact that he is like one of our more effective, like attacking midfielders basically is so strange. It's not his position at all. And he's still like almost the best we have.
yeah, yeah. And I think again, it's like a systemic thing that goes back to what happens when you become a club who's cycling through managers too, and who's a sell, like a sell first club without necessarily replacing players, is that it becomes harder and harder. It compounds like each time for a manager to make something of the squad, because then it's like you're Rob Edwards and you're stuck with like two defensive midfielders who, yes, I would love to have them stay at Wolves, but like they don't have a single ball carrier. They don't have anyone they could play a ball over the top to. So they really have they have no way to like sensibly progress the ball up the pitch. And if they were to do that, like there was that one moment that Adam Armstrong obviously almost ran that ball down before the keeper Ricario came out. And
Kinski at this point.
oh yeah, sorry. I was like, wait a second, it wasn't because they had their own keeper issues. God, their issues. Could be worse, I guess. We could have a we could have the wage bill Tottenham has and the expectations in the stadium that they have that will be so fun for championship players to play in.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry. Yeah, I don't even remember what I was saying, but it's basically just that there's just a whole bunch of pieces that don't fit, which gives it that preseason feel, like you said, 100%. I saw Paul's comment as well. I guess we should lend some credence to that. Oh, man.
Podfather Emeritus in the chat right now saying, crying out for that veteran center half to come in this summer as captain and figurehead, as any of the current crop could play alongside him if they decide to stay. Yeah.
This is almost an impossible question because I think, listening to you and Josh, and I agree and feel the same way. I have no clue who's going to be playing for Wolves next season, but like if you had to give odds on who the club captain was going to be next year, like where do you even start?
It's like, it feels right now like the safest money would be on Doherty, and he's a player who might literally not be at the club next season. Like, but it's only because like if he was here, you could imagine him being club captain and not necessarily starting each game, like just for the sort of vague clout that he has within the club. But like, it's not close to being known at this point.
Yeah, and that's not without precedent. I mean, we had a club captain who wasn't playing this year at many times, and a club captain who wasn't the captain when on the pitch. I don't even know. It's so disjointed. Yeah, I would say Doherty's a good shout. Yeah, everyone else is too young, and Zhao would definitely almost certainly be gone.
Yeah.
I don't know. I really don't know what kind of character Adam Armstrong is.
Could be Adam Armstrong. That's a decent shout, at least. Again, it just feels like not at all certain.
Yeah, it just feels like we're picking like one of the oldest guys who has played in the championship and being like, surely he's a leader.
Who's old and experienced. Yeah. All right. Well, after an initial salvo, it felt like we sort of both teams settled into their respective shitness and just didn't really create much of anything. I mean, I remember there was like a large patch in the middle of that game where I just like felt like we could play all day and neither of these teams would score. And eventually the game would have to be stopped just for like injuries / red cards. So a pretty unfair question, but hard to pick out. Were there any players who you thought came out with any credit from that game?
Ooh, I've seen people too like that I really respect, like questioning the effort at times during the match too. So it's really hard to credit anyone. I feel free to call me an absolute idiot here, but if I had to choose someone, and I always cape for this person, maybe I'd say Jose Sa. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Like he did. Like it's also easy to say if he's like doesn't need to do that much wrong when like Xavi Simons is skying balls that are clear good chances like well into the stand.
Yeah.
He made a great save. I still think he is their best keeper, and I think that this is. I guess if I had to put some type of positive spin, I said this could be a performance where he continues to prove that, which I guess in a way is credit. So
yeah, I mean, like I've always felt like Jose Sa is a bit too like wild to really down tools. You know what I mean? Like I don't think he has only one mindset when he steps on the field, and it's not necessarily like even the best mindset. Like he's a bit of a wild card even when he's like completely on it. But it also like makes it so that I don't think that he ever goes out there and kind of like doesn't give a damn. Like I think he's just exactly who he is every single time.
Yeah.
Continuing on from the previous games, I think that like Hugo Bueno, I think has like put his head down most of this season and like been solid. And he has had, of course, better and worse games. And I don't think he was like necessarily like stunning this game, but he seemed to, again, like continue to care, continue to put in work. Similar to Armstrong, again, he's feeding off scraps. It's hard to say anything. I think like on the other hand, I was like, I've been continually disappointed. Maybe this is just a reaction to people wanting these players to like come in, but like Rodrigo Gomez and Pedro Lima, when they come in, I like the things that they can do on a football field, but I also I like by the time Rodrigo Gomez came off, I couldn't think of a single thing he had done.
Yeah, that's fair. He does have a tendency to kind of disappear, I think, at times, like just kind of like blend into a match. And I don't know if that's, again, like I don't know where he should be, where that wouldn't be the case.
Yeah.
And if he's on a different, like, okay, you can chalk it up to maybe like the Premier League being a little bit above his level. This is why I'm curious to see him next year, because if you can come away saying the same thing, after a half season or something, like if we're sitting here next January and talking about him in the same manner in the championship, then like he probably doesn't belong in England, like, which is fine. But he's shown enough glimpses where I think you give him that at least. Yeah. And Lima, I don't know, he just had such high potential, and then I like ask myself truly, like, was I so caught up in this like Brazilian transformation with Wolves, and like they marketed it really well, and Cunha was on a high, and like I don't know, it was the idea of a right back, of kind of like a front-footed right back at Wolves, Brazilian, who has sky-high potential, who's been on the radar of like some major clubs. Like that in theory is better than it has been in practice. So again, not a player I'm like don't want to see next season, but you're right. Like when we do see Lima, I'm never like crying out for more Lima for anything that he's done.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair to him, it's not like he's had consistent starts, and also like that right center back position has been sort of fluctuating with Mosquera's suspensions and whatever and other injuries that we've had. So even if he was on consistently, he hasn't really built up anything with anyone around him. And I think we shouldn't underestimate how just like a substandard, poorly built team drags everyone down. That some of these players might look better, as they did, in fact, last year with better players around them. I mean, Toti Gomez is sort of like example number one of that, where like he can look like a very good player next to Ryan Aït-Nouri. Ryan Aït-Nouri is covering some of his deficiencies and also like being progressive. And so like if Toti has one good, long ball on the ground to Ryan Aït-Nouri and that creates an attack, then Toti ends up looking great out of that. And that's not to take anything away from him, but like it just shows that, a team can really look awful individually when it is put together poorly as a group. And I think like, I don't know, kind of to your larger point, I think we've said before that like, I'm struggling to feel like any of these players are critical to keep. Like it would be super fun to watch Rodrigo or Pedro Lima like explode next year and like completely dominate that side of the field in the championship. But if we sold them and got someone really experienced in at that position, I'm not really going to lose any sleep over it or anything.
Yeah, I agree. At this point, other than players that I think we've been resigned to the fact that they're like leaving for probably months now, there won't be a great amount of the disappointment will come in, or can come in, the replacements or lack thereof. That's right. Where the disappointment will really be based this summer.
Yep. All right. Well, eventually Dominic Solanke got injured and I saw Richarlison warming up. Were you filled with dread like I was?
100%. This is another one of those players who's just obviously going to, have an impact against Wolves, who is also and I don't know if it's because like what happens when they face Wolves that they are unlikable, but I would venture to guess a lot of other fan bases also feel that he's unlikable. So he's a shithead. He's annoying to play against, and oftentimes, it really doesn't turn out well. So there was definitely dread.
He's firmly in that category, like Alex Iwobi, who's like not a bad player, but I think that if you're a fan of the team he's playing on, you think like this guy's okay. Like he shows up for us sometimes, and I'm glad we have him, but I'm also like he's not our best player. But if you play against them, you just like dread them coming on because it feels like Richarlison scores every time he plays against us, even if it's like for Everton when they were completely awful.
100%. I don't understand it.
Even when Fulham were completely awful, Iwobi was scoring against us.
Yeah. I think it's almost worse with Iwobi. Like you could drop him into like any opponent of Wolves. The score could be whatever it is, and I'm just like, if he's on the pitch, I'm like, oh shit, we're doomed.
Yeah, whoever we drag down with us. So if West Ham or Spurs go down, maybe they should think about getting Alex Iwobi to counteract us next season.
Yeah, it's like a guaranteed 6 points, it feels like.
Yeah. All right. So we now know, of course, that Wolves are mathematically down. So after suffering through that game, do you think that Spurs can get out of it? I just wanted to ask you this because it's fun.
Yeah, it is fun. Do I think they can? I mean, I guess I think they can, but if the question is, will they? I kind of think not. Like, so they're 2 points off of safety right now, and their run-in is away to Villa, who I believe just lost and is still battling for European places.
Mm-hmm.
Home against Leeds, who are kind of flying. Or what did I actually don't know what Leeds' result was this weekend. I shouldn't say that, but they looked mighty good. Oh, they lost to Chelsea. Only 1-0.
Oh, that was FA Cup, right?
Yeah, that was FA Cup. Yeah, you're right. Yeah. And away to Chelsea, they're basically just playing a bunch of teams battling for European places, and like Leeds, who's like pretty safe. Everton. Yeah. I don't know, man. It's not getting any better. Like I respect De Zerbi as a manager. Like I do. I don't feel like he's a manager who would stick around if they do get relegated.
Mm-hmm.
And if he stayed up, I could see like a nice bounce back for them, because they all also have been like hampered by injury quite a bit. I think it's going to happen. Like I really do. And I understand that for Wolves, that's worse. Like you don't want a big club like that down, you know, kind of likely occupying, we think, one of the automatic promotion places next season. I don't know. Like for the team that I saw against Wolves, I don't see them. I don't think you could look at any of those matches remaining on their schedule and be like, that's 3 points.
No.
Yeah. Like, I think Villa bounces back from their loss, and Tottenham is looking at 3 matches left, firmly in the relegation zone. And then who do West Ham have next week? That's what I really
Brentford away.
Okay. Yeah. I mean,
and then they play Arsenal at home, Newcastle away, and then Leeds at home on the final day.
Yeah. Tough one for them too. Kind of, but I could also see them like winning some matches. Nuno's done I mean, I don't know. I'm rooting for them, obviously, clearly.
Yeah.
Like everyone's rooting for Spurs to go down. So,
yeah.
Well, I mean, how do you see it? Like, do you feel?
Yeah. So first of all, I think that like I'm trying to put myself in the mindset of like we shouldn't be as scared of Spurs going down as I think like has been, including myself. Like people have sort of put out there, and well, they'll have a lot of resources. I guess, let me put it this way. The first opponent for us to defeat next season is ourselves. Like we need to have built something in the summer that resembles a functioning team. And if we don't do that, I kind of not interested in what Spurs have done or West Ham have done or whoever. So like, I'm not that worried about it. I also think that they have a huge ball and chain around their neck, which is the cost of their squad. Probably no, relegation clauses in those salaries. They're going to have a lot of trouble in the summer rebuilding. So let's just put that out of the way. Not particularly concerned about that, or I'm trying not to be anyway. And I just think like I didn't watch the West Ham game that was happening at the same time, where obviously they went ahead to Everton. Everton equalized, and then they ended up winning sort of at the last minute, more or less. And I just think like that's not a result that Spurs can get. Like as down as we are about Wolves, I think it was entirely possible for us to fluke a draw there. I mean, obviously, João Gomez had a free kick on target. All it takes is some dumb, corner kick to go wrong, kind of like the way we conceded. And I don't think that they created a whole hell of a lot against a really, really poor Wolves team. And so I just think like with what Nuno is capable of putting together, and I think like West Ham squad have like hope at their backs, like they're thinking like this is possible. we are in the driver's seat and all we have to do is essentially sit in the way that, they do from game to game. Spurs probably have to win at least 2 of their games. And, I just don't really see that happening. West Ham might be playing, they will be playing a Leeds that it will be safe on the final day, almost certainly. Unless some really crazy stuff happens. And so, that almost feels like 3 points right there. And I don't see Spurs getting out of it at this point. So,
yeah. And the pressure too must be immense. And I understand that any team involved in a relegation battle, there's pressure, right? But like, you can't tell me it's not a bit bigger at Spurs because they don't belong in that conversation at all, right? Like, because no one would ever expect that. So,
well, and how does the organization even give the players like reassurance about like, okay, but next season there's like a plan and we'll move you or you'll stay or whatever. They can't give any reassurance because no one knows. Like, this is completely uncharted territory.
Yeah, it is. It could be worse, I guess.
In some ways.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, anyway, this isn't a Spurs podcast, just kind of fun to think about. But yeah, I don't know. 2 very bad teams played on Saturday, and it was a pretty awful game overall. Other stuff related to the game or sort of around that. First, the good news, in the week, season ticket prices were released, and sort of a 25%-ish around across the board reduction. Feels like a good first step at setting things right with the fans. Agree?
Yeah, nice job, Nathan Shee, and obviously everyone doing the right thing there. Yeah, I think so. That's job number 1 before assembling a squad that could actually take the field. I think is trying to win back some of these supporters. Need it. So,
I mean, it's like react to this. I guess what I'm going to say is that like, I think I see a lot of still negativity about Fosun and even Nathan Shee specifically. And I feel a lot of those things too. I don't like, I don't disagree, but on the other hand, I think the bar has been set so ridiculously low by Jeff Shee and the decisions made over the last 5 or so years that these positive steps often feel underwhelming because we're just like getting something back to where it should have been. Like, this, like the amount that it's at shouldn't necessarily be like a wow, what a amazing affordable tickets, but it's just like now we're getting back to where like it should have been.
Yeah, I mean that's a good point. I mean, on paper, a 25% reduction or so seems reasonable, but when that's coming off a reduction of a price that was benchmarked against clubs like Cubs playing in Champions League football or competing for the European places like Villa and stuff, yeah, of course.
Yeah, and I'm not saying like people need to like come on side and support Nathan Shee. Like, skepticism is still warranted, but like I guess what I'm saying is like there's not a lot that he can do in terms of grand gestures that are going to feel like, oh, we're back. Like, I don't know, like literally can he like make deals happen with like clubs that are currently in the promotion playoff spots in the championship saying like, we're getting this guy striker next year, even if they get promoted, like something like insane like that's never going to happen. So like the positive steps he can take kind of like by nature are going to feel a bit underwhelming because they're like, this is what can be done right now. And we're also getting back to hopefully a point of normalcy.
Yeah, no, I think you're right. You're dead on that. So, yeah, I it's a good step. The price reduction, great. Now show us everything else. Act on your plan that you laid out for real. Which I was a little,
Rob Edwards and the players pretty much universally booed at full time after the game. Probably fair. I mean, obviously, this is the first time the home crowd have seen the team since relegation was confirmed. Rob Edwards sort of had a similar thing to say, I get it. We're relegated now. No one feels good about that kind of thing. I guess you haven't been on in a while. Have your say, Alex. Should we be replacing Rob Edwards before next season?
See, this is another one of those things where it's like in my head, like I'm inclined to say yes, but in recent history, I'm aware that what is it, the devil you know and the devil you don't know, or whatever. Was
Yeah,
it you guys who were saying that? I was hearing this phrase recently. It might have been when I was listening to you, but
maybe.
maybe
Yeah,
not. I don't know. I'm like sometimes that's the case because the unknown could be a bit scary. I think for me, like he was brought in. No matter what anyone says, I think it's widely known he was brought in for next season. So to turn away from that now would be a bit of a shift in my mind. But also, like in my head, there's also like there is a middle ground between being brought in for next season and showing some type of improvement or galvanization and really what all that's happened. And I understand that like players, their heads might be other places as you move closer and closer to relegation. But there, if we were losing and we were losing 3-0, 4-0 with an identity, that maybe made sense, where you can kind of see like, okay, against lesser opponents next season with maybe a few pieces in this spot or that spot, whatever it might be, I could see this being something that can work out. But you don't see that. And it's really hard for me. Like, but I also at the same time I am aware, like, are they going to be able to find an experienced manager who's been in that league before, who's had success in that league, who's gotten a team promoted? Like that's a big ask. But the beauty of like what Nuno, like they had such a clear identity. We keep comparing to the Nuno days. They had such a clear identity. It worked. You could build a squad around it. They don't have that now. Like, I don't know what Rob Edwards football is supposed to look like. And that is my main concern. But it may also be because it's just not possible right now with the status of the squad. Like that's not an excuse. It's a reason,
Yeah.
So like, I know I'm like walking I'm walking a tightrope here. I'm not really taking a stand one way or another. Like if I personally would be, I think if they have a decent candidate in mind, like I'm definitely open to it.
Yeah.
But who's taking this job?
Yeah. I mean, your waffling says it all, really. I mean, like the fact that we don't really have an answer, I think it speaks to, the state that the club is in at the moment. I think if he had been a Nathan Shee appointment, I think we wouldn't even be having the conversation, because this is Nathan Shee's plan. He's here for next season, no problem. But the here for next season thing sort of falls down as soon as you say, well, Jeff Shee thought that, and Jeff Shee was also an idiot. So like,
good point. Yeah.
But on the other hand, I mean, like, and I think, so laying the cards out there, I think, Josh has said he's definitely at least very strongly leaning towards Edwards out. I don't know if he put in those words, but I'm much more cautious about it, I guess. And like, I try to speak more descriptively than prescriptively. Like, I don't know what ought to be done. I'm not a sporting director or anything, but I guess the way I see it is like, when he came in and we had 2 points, I think even though it was probably ridiculous for us to believe this, we were worried about like beating Derby's total. And we've gone way past that. And if we could have put some of those results into these last 5 games, again, I think like all this discussion would completely die. We'd be watching a shit team that was still getting draws and wins occasionally, as we were before that long international break. And we'd say, yeah, this is a terrible team, but I'm not reading into anything because it's a shit team and Rob Edwards will do whatever he's going to do next season. If he's not good enough, he'll be found out. Fine. But it's like, we've had this run of games now, 3 games since the break, which have all been pretty terrible. We've lost 8-0 on aggregate. I think we've had like something like 6 shots on target. So that feels bad. But I just like, I don't know. He came into a team that had 2 points, and then we weakened it in January. Like, and that was the plan. Like, it wasn't like we messed up. Like, we knew that this was going to happen. We literally, sold a player who had a record of double-digit goals. And even like someone like John Arias, who had not hit the ground running, who had not performed, that we took a creative player out of the team and replace him with Angel Gomez, who like I think is like not a bad bet to take, but now we see as like not up for it in the Premier League at least. And now we find out that like we're probably not going to pick him up anyway because of his wages for the championship. So like that's not like a Rob Edwards decision, whether he had a relationship with him at England youth levels or not, you know? And like we substantially weaken this team and still ground out results against good teams. So like there is something there. And I guess my final point in support of the idea of Rob Edwards could, you know, still have something to show next season is that like there isn't like a sure thing. Like there is no such thing as like a sure thing that like I think fans would be all on board with. It's like I would say like the only name I've heard that I think all fans would agree could probably do the job is also a ludicrous, like delusional choice, which is Thomas Frank. I've heard like several people say that. I'm sure everyone would agree. Yeah, that'd be a good hire to get you out of the championship. But like, you're not getting Thomas Frank. You're not luring Nuno away from being in the Premier League. Like whatever these fantasies are, you know, where like you pull someone who is not supposed to be there. Like that's almost certainly not happening. So like, is everyone going to be excited about like, if we could like, again, like Frank Lampard just got promoted even in some world where you lured him away with some huge war chest and said, here, come do it again, instead of going to the Premier League. Would fans even be like that excited about him? Like, I don't think people are that excited about Frank Lampard. Like, no. So it's like anybody that you get by definition is going to be kind of like a good championship manager. And I think people are gonna be like, no, well, should we have cut ties so quickly? Like, you know, and I don't feel super confident. I don't want to rely on the, like, I don't feel confident in them like getting the right guy. But I think that there's like an element of that too, which is just like, I don't know, we have someone who kind of like wants to be here at this point and will unquestionably like try as hard as he can to get us promoted. And if we are 10 games into the season next year and it is not going well, we will get someone else. But like, I don't know that another person would like 1000% have a better record than him 10 games into the season.
Yeah, no, you're right. That's a good point. I mean, you mentioned the name Thomas Frank, like he's not answering the phone, you know, like that's not a phone call he's taking. Like the one thing Wolves had that allowed us to even enter the conversation about some of these managers was their Premier League status and like a chance to possibly rebuild your reputation. Thomas Frank has to go rebuild his reputation. I don't think he wants to do it at Wolves, who are like not a surefire thing to really be promoted next season, right? Pending the investment. Although, and he probably has some credit in the bank based on how shit Tottenham has been since he left. Like it's very clear he's not the problem, you know, in a way that's like pretty clear that like Vitor Pereira wasn't necessarily the sole problem at Wolves, or you could say that about anybody like Lopetegui, Gary O'Neill, even probably like, you know, like, so yeah, you're right. Like it would be an inexperienced manager. So, imagine
it's 1:05 Eastern time on the final day of the season. So final game is in the books. We've just beaten Burnley or lost to Burnley or whatever happens in that unwatchable game. And they say, breaking news, Rob Edwards has been sacked, and Wolves have taken the audacious step of hiring Scott Parker, who got promoted with Burnley last year. He's literally gotten promoted very recently and finished maybe above Wolves this season. Is anybody that excited about that over Rob Edwards?
No, to me, they feel like the same level. So if you already have a manager that's like at your maxed out level, then yeah, you're probably right. All right. I think I'm on team stay. Team keep them. I mean,
I'm very persuasive, but I don't know that I've persuaded myself.
No, you are, but it's sensible. It's right. I think you're adjusting my expectations. Like I'm like waiting for this, like, you know, Portuguese guy who's gonna come in and be this galvanizing character. Like that guy's not coming to Wolves necessarily next season. You know, there's too many unknowns. Like, yeah.
I think what it comes down to in a lot of ways is not so much about the manager, but just about not feeling like we have a plan at all about anything. And so like I would rather see a firm, like cogent, well-communicated plan in the summer than see a new manager. If I had to choose one or the other, I don't want a new manager and still feel like we're just listing around doing whatever, like George Mendes says, or something ridiculous like that. I'd rather have a good plan and Rob Edwards to do it than manager X and still no plan.
Yeah. Cosign.
All right. Well, you're now Nathan Shee, or the sporting director. I put this in our group chat to see what you might say about this. So here's a little game. You get to choose 3 players, excluding João Gomez and Andre, who we kind of assume will be on their way. And if they're not, then we're all thankful, but probably leaving. But you get to choose 3 players who will be guaranteed to stay at Wolves next season. Which 3 do you keep? And specifically, I kind of mean like to play next season, not like a weird thing where we like keep Krejci but loan him out so that we maintain his value and then hopefully have him in the Premier League. No nonsense like that, but someone to stay and play. And you can also pick from the players out on loan, which I will remind our listeners of. On my spreadsheet, I realized I had John Arias on there, so I just hid that row. But the ones out on loan are, don't get too excited, Marshall Monetzi, Boubacar Traore, Sasha Kalajdzic, who just scored 2 goals today, Tommy Doyle, Tawanda Turewa, Keanu Hoover, Fer Lopez, and Nasser Giga.
Wow. Some of those are...
So of those, or anyone on the current, registered squad, are there 3 there that you definitely want to stay, or not definitely want to stay, but like, who are the 3 that you would pick?
Like, I will pick 3, but like it is a bit of a struggle, like to have conviction about 3, which says a lot about the squad. No, to me, I absolutely start with Mane. I understand it's possible he can leave for greener pastures. I think for him, he's so young. I think a season in the championship to develop to physically, like in every way, I think would do him well. And yeah, it's a homegrown situation. It's just, to me, he's a must keep for right now. So Mane's number 1. To me, I have always had an affinity for this player. You mentioned him as coming away with some credit from the match. I still think Hugo Bueno can be a good left wing back, or possibly even a left back. I think he plays a really nice cross from that left side. He runs his ass off. He strikes the ball really well. Like, he's even like had some free kicks that have been good. Like, he does look to get into decent positions. Like, by Wolves standards this year, he's on the higher end of, I guess, I actually don't even know this statistically, but like the eye test tells me that he's like maybe one of the best chance creators in a team that must be historically bad at creating chances. So for whatever that's worth. So I go Hugo Bueno. The third one I'm struggling with a little bit, to be honest, because I think about our forward line and I can't really, you wish you had that guy where you're like, this guy's just going to be an automatic double-digit goal scorer in the championship. Like, in theory, Adam Armstrong should be that guy, but like 0% of me would be disappointed if he leaves. Like, I don't think he will, but like, he's not the guy I'm signing up to keep right away.
Yeah.
Man, our defense. I don't know. It's so hard. I'm being
think about it.
Serious.
And
well, you gave me plenty of time to think about it. That's the thing. It's like I sound crazy. Can I say Jose Sa? Just because I'm tired of trying to find keepers, and like, I don't know. There's a Sam Johnstone just always, for some reason, is so unconvincing to me, and Dan Bentley. Like, I don't know. Just maybe keep Sa. Just like, we know he can stop shots.
So Josh put in our group chat, he said Mane, Rodrigo, and Tolu. I think those are going to be some fairly popular ones. If you were to poll the supporters, I think those are kind of obvious. People are kind of waiting for Rodrigo to break out. Again, I don't feel like super confident that it's going to happen, but and like I said, I'd sort of rather someone who's experienced within the championship and like feels more like, again, a sure thing in terms of promotion. I would say for next season, so I will co-sign on Hugo Bueno. I think we will do well to keep him, just because I think, not that he's way above our level in the championship necessarily, but I think like he is, like you said, a solid, consistent operator. And I think like a promoted team, for instance, would think that that's a really, a player that you could get for a good price who will do a consistent job across the season where you are just trying to get, 38 points or whatever. So that would be one. I think that another one for me would be Jean-Rickner Bellegarde.
Oh,
Again,
yeah.
who knows how likely that is. Again, part of this question was sort of like ignore any of the transfer rumors that are going on, because like Krejci, for instance, like already has links to multiple teams. Like we have no idea, but like same thing with Bellegarde. We haven't seen links yet, but I wouldn't be surprised. Especially potentially back in France or something. But I think like in terms of the physicality that he has for the championship, I think like he will look like an even better player in the championship, and he will be able to create a lot more, especially for a player like Adam Armstrong. I think they could play well together in the championship. So those would be two for me. I also struggled hard with the last one. I think there's like a lot of ones that are like, I'm almost there. Where like, there was a time where I was like excited to see Yersin Mosquera in the championship, and I just have not seen him settle down. And so I'm like, I don't want him to stay with us and then get, suspended for red cards 3 different times in a season. That will be extremely frustrating to me. So that's like why I'm sort of on the fence about something like that. I think Santi Bueno is a player that I like, but at the same time, like he can get pushed around a bit, and in the championship, you worry that, he's not going to have it. But like, I could see him. I could even make a case for Totti, who I think like people have been really down on because he's had a season where he's not been on the pitch a lot. But I think, again, it just in terms of like physicality and the fact that he can play both left back and left center back can be very helpful in the championship. I know it's not going to be the most exciting to people, but so those are sort of my honorable mentions. I will put a one from maybe left field out there. Okay. I have to do another honorable mention. I'm ruining this segment, but I have to say that like Fer Lopez is like, if you have all those stipulations of like, oh, you can pick anyone, then like you kind of say like, well, we should get Fer Lopez in and be like the player he should have been this year, but in a slightly easier league. But like, that just feels like almost like that's never going to happen. Uncle George has protected him from his Wolves future, and we're never going to see him. So to return to my actual final choice, if it is true that Tolu is on his way out because of whatever nonsense happened in the setup, maybe it's Sasha Kalajic.
Oh man,
the return. Who fucking knows? The third, basically what I've learned from this segment is the third spot is completely up for grabs. You can pick at most 2 players who are you like certain could do well next season. And I don't know that you can pick a third.
The like remontada I'd be most excited about would definitely be Kalajic, because he's just an extremely likable person that Wolves media made a fucking documentary about the guy, about his recovery, and then he just like continually hurt and then goes out on loan again, and like somehow he's still like on the squad list.
Does anybody still know if his wife still owns a restaurant in Wolverhampton or Tipton or whatever?
Yeah, somebody look that up and find out if that's like been sold.
Speaking of remontada, a group chat that I'm in, someone posted that Geddes' partner, wife, whatever, posted something on Instagram just today wearing a Wolves shirt.
How?
But he's not even on the book. So if we go get him, we have to pay for him again. So that ship has sailed.
I feel like he actually scored or did something big in a big game for them recently. Was it in a cup game or no?
Yeah, he did something. I don't know. But,
he did something against like Barca or Madrid or something.
Bring him home. We need a good smile in the dressing room, and for that reason, he must be in Sasha and not Geddes.
Definitely not Geddes. No. Yeah, Sasha would be an interesting one. I'd like to see Bueno play a couple of balls into him. He does. I mean, other than the fact that like he's like multiple right, knee surgeries into his career, and the championship is quite a physical league. A tall striker does seem like something that you can get excited about if we're just be lumping balls up to him. I think the a physical game suits Bellegarde well. I think that's a good shout as well. I said a long time ago, my favorite thing about him is he plays through contact. He'll like stay on his feet when guys could easily go down. Like if you're not getting those whistles, he's going to fight through that. He's a decent ball carrier. That's a good shout too. Yeah. So those are good options. Yeah.
All right. So I'm just going to recap my final list. I'm not going to expose myself to the ridicule of actually picking Sasha. It's going to be Hugo Bueno, Jean-Victor Bellegarde, and Rodrigo Gomez feels like an easy choice. I'm taking the coward's way out. You have said Bueno. You said
Mane. And then if we're allowed to make last second changes after discussing on our forum here, I think I would go Bellegarde over anyone else that we had mentioned.
There you go. So that's what it is. And I think Josh's shout of Tolu, the fact that we have trepidation about that, I think has a lot to do with the fact that it's so unknown, what he brings to this team. He definitely elevates this current team because we have no ability to hold the ball up, in the final third. But if that problem were solved by other players, then it's one of those where I'm not going to lose sleep over losing him. I think he'd do well in the championship probably, but and I'm not pinning my hopes of promotion on us keeping Tolu. I'll put it that way. All right. Well, Wolves once again have to subject us to playing a game of football this Saturday, May 2nd, 10 a.m. Eastern on Peacock. Wolves versus Sunderland. I have one question written in the show notes, and it is it possible to win? Not will we win, but is it possible to win a game of football?
No, it is. Wow. So did they really lose 5-0 to Forest last time out?
Yes.
Sunderland? That's
Vitor Pereira's Forest put 5 goals past Sunderland.
Jesus. So I guess by that, yes, it is possible. Will it happen? Probably not. Though, much like Wolves, Sunderland have very little to play for. Yeah. Actually, that's not true. They're right now they're only 3 points off of Europe.
Oh my Lord!
Actually, that isn't that insane? They're firmly middle of the table in 12th. 9 goals behind 11th place Everton. They're behind them by a point, but also 9 goals worse by goal difference. But let's theoretically, if they were to beat Wolves, you could see a world where if Brentford, Fulham, and I don't know off the top of my head who all plays each other. Everton plays City. So they could jump Everton. Let's say if City keeps this up, gets 3 points, continues on their hunt to win the title. Fulham's away to Arsenal. I'm naming all the teams that have between Sunderland and Europe. Brentford's away to Man United, also looking to lock up a Champions League spot. Chelsea's at home to Forest. Other than that, Sunderland could argue that they're like a 4-0 romping of Wolves away from finishing the day in a Conference League spot. And for that reason, I think Todd's logic of they're going to put 9 past us on Saturday, which he just said, sounds kind of right. And also, I don't know about you. I think sane people would think a team just surrendering 5 goals to this Nottingham Forest, to Vitor Pereira's Forest, is bad. I do not like playing teams coming off of a 5-0 loss. I fucking hate that. It's like they're pissed off. It's like the law of averages says they can't be leaking goals again like that. I would say it's going to be maybe can Wolves score? Maybe that's a good question. Do you think they can score?
That'd be nice.
Yeah, that'd be nice. How about a 1-1? I mean, I think they lose 3-1. That'll be my prediction. But it'd be nice to get a goal.
Yeah, it would be nice, wouldn't it?
To your point from last week. Last week, there is still a world where someone who has not scored a goal for Wolves can finish the season as their top scorer.
Yes, if they just
had 2 really amazing games.
Yeah, unquestionably, Adam Armstrong isn't on 0, but he has a solid chance of being the lone top goal scorer this season, despite coming in January. because it would really only take, again, like you said, even one good game. He could get a brace and be up there. Yeah, so I don't have the score predictions, the table, but Josh is way ahead. I don't think I'm catching him. We both predicted a draw last week for some reason. Who knows why we thought that was possible? I guess mostly based on how bad Spurs are.
You weren't far off. I
yeah.
mean, let's be real.
Yeah. All right. So what do you got for this one?
Yeah, no, I'm sticking with. I'm going to go 3-1 Sunderland.
Yeah. Oh boy. I just like, it's just the recency thing. I can't see us scoring. I don't know where a goal is coming from. I mean, Adam Armstrong could have gotten through on goal at one point, but yeah, I'm still gonna go 3-0 Sunderland. I hate this world. What are we doing?
Terrible.
All right. Well, just putting in there that if you and your local Wolves group are meeting up this week to watch Sunderland or any of the games coming up, Todd agrees with me in the chat, 3-0 Sunderland. Then please do drop us a line and let us know where you meet up. We love to hear about local supporters groups, and people have really been continuing to do so. I usually see the notifications too late because people figure out their plans later in the week, and we're recording at the beginning of the week. But if you guys know that you're going to be meeting up, let us know. We're happy to shout you out and see if you can get a few more people to show up, a few more strangers, a few new friends. That's always fun. I know there are a bunch of groups, including Baltimore, that are, looking to meet up one last time before the end of the season. So, let us know if you're out there and you're trying to meet up with your group before the end of the season. All right. Let's go to, of course, our favorite part of the show, No Stupid Questions, where you can ask us anything about Wolverhampton Wanderers, that wonderful, wonderful club. It's being so wonderful at us this entire season. You can reach us at wholelotofwolves@gmail.com, or you can reach us on X/Twitter at WLWpod. And of course, if you're watching now on the live stream, we can take some questions straight from there. But of course, the one on the live stream right now is Todd, and Todd, of course, has emailed us separately. And I should say that the subject line of the email was "I'm so tired," which I assume was the inflection of that subject. And he asked a couple of questions. If you could bring a current or former Wolves player along with you to participate in your favorite hobby, who would you pick and what is the hobby? And I'm going to slightly twist this and say, any hobbies that you've picked up abroad?
That's a good question.
Any tulip-related hobbies? Or?
I have gone tulip peeping twice. However, I wouldn't say it's a hobby of mine.
Wooden
I'm particularly
shoes.
Excited about.
No.
No clogs. Let's see. Yeah, I would love to say I came here and just transformed my life, and then now I'm painting or something like that. But really, I'm still watching a lot of football, going out for beers, etc.
Going out for beers is a hobby, right?
Yeah. Do I have hobbies? No, so in this situation, I think it has to be like a non-sport related hobby.
Yeah, probably.
Which becomes difficult. I would say one thing I've been better at here is, okay. So here in the Netherlands, it's a huge beer culture, as any Dutch person would tell you. I quite enjoy wine. So I think I'm going to take the easy way out, and I'm going to say João Moutinho, and just hunting out the best wine bars in Amsterdam, which, you got to kind of work for because it's a big beer culture. So, yeah.
Yeah, there's not much that sounds better than that, to be honest, is especially after the season that we've had. What if I just took the entire summer off and went around wine country with João Moutinho?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, let's broaden it beyond wine bars here. Now we have the advantage of being kind of centrally located. Let's just travel through France and Italy.
Yeah, you take a train to France. He takes a train up for Portugal. You guys just hang out. The Loire Valley. That's a wine word, I know.
Yeah. I think that would be. That's got to be my answer without knowing too much about Ruben Neves' other hobbies. Because then I'd pick up a hobby for Neves, I think. But without that knowledge, That's my answer. What's yours?
Yeah, so I would say that not a current hobby of mine, but as people know, I used to play ultimate frisbee pretty significantly for many years, and I think that it's no question that a goalkeeper is going to do better at this. And I have to say that if there was going to be a player on the current squad, or even any of the squads that I've seen since I started following that could play ultimate, I think it would have to be Jose Sa. First of all, tall, lanky build, no question. That's an ultimate player's build right there. And then also they tend to be a bit crazy. Him on his like weird little motorcycle going around Wolverhampton, that's really something that you would see an ultimate player on their way to a tournament and then get into a crash on the way there and have to apologize and be like, oh, I can't play for the first game because I fucked up my ankle in this little fender bender I had. That feels like a very Jose Sa thing. So I think he would fit in really well in the ultimate community. Other than that, I mean, like in terms of, current hobbies, is looking for a new job a hobby? Like, I don't know who's going to read Lord of the Rings with me. I will say that João Gomez put out like a couple months ago, I guess. He like put out a list of like all the books he had read this year, which that's cute. Good for him. And it was like a lot of like motivational stuff, as you probably guess, and a few like religious things. And I think people were like kind of clowning on him in the comments about like certain books being dumb, or I don't know, whatever they were doing. They were taking the piss out of him for some reason. And he took it in good stride. And he quoted his own tweet, being like, okay, you guys are laughing at me, but like, what book should I read? And so I, did the little Google Translate thing, recommending that he had previously said that Lord of the Rings was one of his favorite movies, and quickly did a Google image search for the Portuguese language Lord of the Rings. So that would be fun to add him to our book club. I don't know that I could do it in Portuguese. I used to know like a handful of phrases, but nothing remotely enough to read Lord of the Rings in.
Yeah, that would be awesome though. Yeah. And good on Zhao for like you said, taking that in stride.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good one. I don't know. Dutch lessons with Keanu Hobart.
Oh my God. What could Keanu Hobart teach you, really?
I don't know. That's yeah. Good question.
All right. Well, following up from Todd, he also asks, if Rob was brought in to help us prepare for and guide us next season in the championship, why hasn't he given the younger or fringe players more of a chance to show what they offer? Obviously, we saw a few of the younger players come in this game. Mane, of course, has been featured pretty frequently until recently, and then he came back in for this game against Spurs. We saw, of course, Tomadozi very briefly for a very significant, perhaps a title-killing moment for himself against Arsenal. But yeah, I mean, he's been relying on sort of reliable warriors. What do you think? I mean, obviously, I think we're all of the same mind that we'd like to see more of it. Everybody wants to see more of the team we're going to see next season. We just don't think it's actually going to be any of the people who are currently in the squad.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. Yeah, it's like it could be indicative of the fact that in Rob Edwards' mind, these aren't players that would be, worth giving minutes to now because of next season, because he's hoping that they're not the crop he has to pick from, I guess. So,
yeah, Todd is taking exception to my use of the word reliable for the players who are currently in the starting 11. I totally accept that. Yeah, they haven't been particularly reliable, but I think that's one of those things where, I mean, we've seen it across multiple managers, and I feel like that's just like what happens is that when things aren't going well, you don't want to experiment that much. I know it feels natural to say like, oh, well, it can't get worse, so let's just, bring other players in. But like, it can get worse, as Mick McCarthy said. And, it's just like, if you have someone like Jackson Chatua, who like universally amongst the fan base, disappointment, wish that he had more to him than he did. But it's like, we're already conceding goals and he's like, okay on defense. So like, why bring in Pedro Lima to potentially weaken us on defense and still not help us score a goal? Which, like, no shade to Pedro Lima, but like, he hasn't had the experience in our team yet to do it. So that's my only like explanation for why. But But yeah, it would be nice to start seeing some of the team we're going to see next season. But I don't even know, I don't think anybody's out there claiming that, Tom Adozie is going to be a starter next season.
No, I don't think so. And I don't think we should want that either.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Enzo Gonzalez, anyone? Is he still injured?
I don't know. The guy's a mystery. He's like another one of these that's just like when you pull up the squad list, you're like, oh yeah.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Maybe he'll go to Crystal Palace. Let's just, for next episode, maybe I'll earmark all the players that we know, had Matt Hobbs's fingerprints and see how many we could shift to Palace and for how much. All right. Well, that wraps up No Stupid Questions. You can always reach us in between shows at wholelottofwolves@gmail.com. You can tweet at Josh or I, or DM us. You can even tweet at Alex. I don't know that he's on Twitter that much anymore, but
yeah, not so much. But who knows? Maybe with a new league, it'll rejuvenate me and make it more tolerable for me.
Who knows? All right. Well, this is where I, fruitlessly asked Josh, what's our Paramount Plus or HBO Max watch of the week for next season? But I don't expect you to fill in, but watching any interesting Dutch TV shows?
No, actually I haven't. But the good thing is most of the streaming services here have the same content and at the same time, save for like Hulu, which I hear is on Disney Plus, which maybe that's the case there too. Everything on that is on a delay. So otherwise I've been watching most of the same shows that everyone else is watching.
Is there a Dutch version of The Office? I remember finding out that there's like 20 different language versions of The Office, and not like dubs, but like editions.
This is a great question. God, that would be really fun to watch. Because Dutch office culture is very, very interesting, I would say. Very impersonal. I think when I walked in and like asked people what they were doing like this weekend on like a Thursday, everyone was like, what? Like, why are you asking me this? I'm sorry. Take that back.
Why are you prying into my personal life?
Yeah. It's like, it's none of your business. Yeah. Let's see. Is there a Dutch office? I feel like there's a lot of Dutch people will say that there isn't that much like Dutch TV to watch, so that's why they're so good at English, because they just watch all American shows and like they don't even bother to dub them, so it's always with subtitles. Yeah. Currently,
Elise and I are in a little like movie club with her parents, just to like kind of share some favorite movies with. And our assignment currently is that we have to watch a set of anime movies, and the one that we haven't gotten to yet is The Boy and the Heron. So that's coming up maybe tonight.
Nice. There is there is no official Dutch remake of The Office.
Dang.
It has been adapted in Germany, France, Canada, but a Dutch version has never been produced. Yeah, wow. Okay. There you go. They stick with the OG, well, not the OG Office. They stick with the American Office here.
Yeah. All right. Well, keep us updated, in our group text. I'll make sure to share with our listeners, if you find any good Dutch TV shows, just in case they're ever visiting.
For sure.
All right. That wraps it up for us. Thanks to everyone out there watching us live or listening along. I usually thank Alex at this point, but thanks as always to Josh for whatever it is he does every week. Good luck to Josh, who's of course he's flying out to Italy actually for work.
That's why you wore that shirt.
That's right. That it was all planned. I wore my Italy shirt because Josh is flying out to Italy. That makes total sense. I'm sure that I thought of that. We will be back next week, next Monday, with a special guest. Maybe we'll see. To talk about the result of the Sunderland game. Meanwhile, why not help us grow the Whole Lot of Wolves family? Hitting the like button, subscribe to the channel, give us a 5-star review, do all your rating nonsense. Send us an email, send us a book recommendation or HBO recommendation. And finally, as Podfather Emeritus would say, up the mighty Wolves.